Hello guys, Jordan Markle here. I'm going to be doing a deck profile on the Ginyu deck I played at the ARG Atlantic City event that was held yesterday. It was best of three, and it did take a good bit of time, but I went 4-0-1 in Swiss. I was first seed going into top cut. Then I played Chris Torres, who's part of Anthony Hernandez and Eric Neon Hill's team. Team allies. Known all those guys for a pretty long time from Naruto, so all good players. Then in top four, I think me and Anthony were going to play. I'm not too sure on that. I didn't see the bracket or anything. But we all four ended up splitting. It was me, Anthony, then it was Eon, and Amani Edwards. So three of the people that made top four at the New York 1K that Anthony held, we all top four'd again. But yeah, so it was a good event. I had a ton of fun. However, it did take a long time. It was just a really long kind of tournament, and it's mainly due to best of three. All my games went to time in game two, except one. The draw, obviously, game two determined the winner, but it was at the very end, so we didn't even get a chance to shuffle up and play game three. It was just a draw. But all my other games went to time in the second game, even in top cut. But basically, he ended up scooping at the end because he was tapped out and there's no way he could win. He just picked up his cards. I would have won on my turn. But yeah, so pretty much time is the issue here for best of three. I like best of three. I don't mind playing long, drawn-out games. I have no problem, putting in the time. The problem is 60 minutes isn't enough. Not for this game. We need at least 30 minutes per game, and even that's like sometimes if it's a long, grindy control versus control game, it's not enough time. So, I mean, at least that would give us a chance at 90 minutes, but yeah, it's not feasible to do best of three in 60 minutes. It's just not. It's almost impossible to play more than two games in 60 minutes. And what's the point of best of three then? It's just going to be a lot of draws or 1-0 victories anyway. So it's whatever. It is what it is. But anyway, I'm going to get into the deck profile then. I played Ginyu and I played Tricolor. All right, I played blue, green, yellow. All right, I'm going to get into this then. But basically, Patrick O'Neill, the guy I played, it was round two we played. He gave me the idea at the New York 1K. He said he's been playing this tricolored Ginyu deck. And he said, I didn't see any lists or anything, but he said it's like really good. And I was already playing dual color Ginyu, not at the event, but I was testing with it, toying with it, because blue yellow Ginyu is really strong because it gives you access to cards like Cold Bloodlust, and even Galdo is a really good one-drop blocker. So it just gives you some access to some cards that you're not able to use with Vegeta, which is what I was running, blue yellow Vegeta at the New York 1K. But so gave you more options and everything. So when he said tricolor, I was like, nah, that's not a thing, with tricolored. Too inconsistent, all that stuff. Anyway, so fast forward to a couple weeks later, my buddy, Nick Brady, who probably won't be traveling to many events, he's just kind of like a local player for this game. He was really good at Naruto. But anyway, he decided to build a tricolor Ginyu deck, having me not said anything to him, which is insane because Patrick and Neil tells me this, and I don't know, maybe they're just genius deck builders, I don't know. But they both basically thought of the exact same deck, pretty much. I don't know what quantities, etc., of what cards he was running, Patrick was running in his, but yeah, this is pretty much Nick's build, and we definitely tested a lot with it, tested versus a bunch of different matchups, and this deck is just really solid. It's very hard to beat, especially if you get behind on board at all, which is really easy with the way the deck works. Super control-y. Bloodlust helps control the game. Crusher Ball as well. Just utilizing all those yellow cards to your advantage. And they're super cheap too. They only cost 1, so you don't have to run a ton of yellow cards. You just need to have 1 or 2 yellow mana, and then usually the rest of your mana is the other 2 colors, blue and green. But anyway, I'll get into the deck profile here. Sorry for the camera. Just getting used to this. But anyway. Alright, so I got my boy Ginyu here. So on his front side, he has an activate mana ability once per turn. You can reveal one of your, I call them battle rewards from Naruto, but you're like your prizes basically. You can reveal one of them, and then if it's Ginyu Force, it goes into play. So that doesn't really happen too often. Sometimes you might hit a Goldo, but most times you just reveal it and put it in your hand. So you basically draw a card from your life. Anyway, and then he just awakens at 4 like every other leader. On his other side, he obviously, when you attack, you draw a card. But then his other effect is you can just take a prize, so you can still grab the prize if you need another draw. You only use this in certain situations. You can go for game with it, because it does give you double strike when you use that. You rarely ever get the 5,000 for having 2 Ginyu Force, because you only play Goldo. So basically, you can use it to get double strike for a turn. If you hold him at 2 life, you can just use this and try and swing it for game. It's a nice effect. You use it once in a while. It's not the greatest, but because you don't want to self-inflict yourself when you're so low. But anyway, it's still a solid card, and obviously, the main reason it's good is because you can play Cold Bloodlust with it. Like, being really honest with you guys, like, it self-inflicts, and you can play Bloodlust. Like, 2 best things that you need for the deck to work. All right, so I'm gonna get into blue first. I played 2 Prince of Speed Vegeta. Now a lot of people are probably like, that's 3 blue. Exactly. There was 6 cards in this deck that are different from my buddy Nick's build, because I just didn't like. He was running Bulma Whis package 3 and 3, and he was basically just playing Bulma as a +1. Because you play on 1, get the Whis, and then he would just charge the Whis for mana. Barely ever played it. So it's not bad. It does draw you a card, so it's not terrible, but I just did not like it. But either way, this card is not... I do not recommend running this. It was basically foil mana. That's pretty much what it was. I never played it, because you max out at 2 yellow, 3 blue, 3 green. So you never want to play this and tap out all of your blue. You always want to have one up for negates or a Senzu Bean or something. So yeah, you never want to really play this unless, like, obviously you have none of that stuff, which is very rare. But then you can, like, you play it, you might draw into it and stuff. So it's just really not good to play him and tap out all your blue. So he's probably going to get cut, but he's, like, the only card in the deck I would cut. Anyway. I'm doing this by element. I don't know if I already said that, but I'm just going to do it by color. So I run 4 Energy Boost Beerus. He's just a really good card. He helps keep the board clear, kills a guy, double strike, 20k. Not much to say about him. I think he's one of the best blue cards. I definitely think he's a 4 of in any blue deck. By just keeping the board clear, he should be an auto include. 2 Jocko. Just a solid control card. I really like Jocko. When your opponents get a little too aggressive at the end of the game, try and push for game, he punishes that. Because usually they try and boost with their 1 plus their 10k boost that costs 1, so they eventually wasted a mana and you bounced it back to their hand. So that's why I like him. He's just a control card. I'm probably gonna end up taking out one of the Vegetas for him, and I'll tell you the other card I'm probably gonna put in for the other Vegeta. For Majin Buu, standard 1-drop, cycles, draws a card. Not much to say about him. We got 2 Senzu Bean. Only 2 Bean. It's a solid card, but it's definitely situational. Because super late in the game, you can't take damage. So playing it after it goes through, they're just going to go all in, play other stuff. So this doesn't really do much unless you have a bunch of 10Ks in your hand. So it's limited. Like, it's good versus the rush decks early and mid-range decks when you're not, like, gonna die right away, when you can, like, use it and not take damage. when they're not going to boost their whole hand at you to try and kill you. But it's definitely a solid card, and that's why I run 2 copies. You'll see why I only run 2 copies. I run 18 extra cards in the deck. So this is the card that I might add in a third one of, but I gotta be worried because 19 extra cards is a lot. But this does untap mana, so it could be okay in the long run. Next, I got 4 Reese's Creations, blue negate. Probably the best negate. I mean, right now. It just you can leave 1 mana open and play as many as you have in your hand, which is really solid. So that's the blue cards. There's 18 blue cards. All right, so that's all of those. We're gonna get into the green then. Super Saiyan Gotenks, amazing card. This card makes the deck work so well. If you're not playing against another Bloodlust deck, you can play this guy safely on 5, and then usually have 2 blue, 2 green, and a yellow, pretty much all the time. And what you can do is you play it and you untap a yellow and a blue, pretty much every time. And then you have your counter for whatever they play, and then you have the negate or a Senzu Bean or something. Anyway, he's just great. He draws a card, so he replaces himself. He's 25k double strike. Very hard to remove other than Beerus. He just sticks on the board a lot because they have to have an answer, and attacking into him, if I attack, is super tough unless they have another Gotenks of their own. Because most times they're not going to have anything on 5 that can kill that. Just really good card. Makes the deck flow really well. For Raging Attacker Vegeta, he's just in here just to kill cards, like kill 4 or less. The counter really never goes off. I usually just play him on my turn because waiting for your opponent's turn, them like reading that you have it is it's pretty obvious when you leave all your mana up or most of your mana up that you have a big counter. On the off chance that there's nothing on their board and you don't really need to put the pressure on right there, you would hold it. But generally I like to develop something, so a lot of times I'll just play a different threat and then I don't have mana. So yeah, so he's usually just play it on your turn to kill a guy. Double strike 20k, just like Beerus, literally. Beerus you do have to wait till 5, but generally you want to keep mana up anyway, so they both are played on 5 or later, and Beerus just kills anything, so he's just a little bit better. 4 Gotenks. This is my 3-drop in the deck. I don't run Vegeta because I already have enough, the 3-drop crit Vegeta because I already have enough blue, but this guy's really good late game, and early game he just puts pressure on, because I usually like to try and sit him at like 6 or 5, to make them have their awakening card. And if they do awaken, it's fine because I'm going to be putting a lot of pressure on with my big minions early. So it's usually okay if they awaken. I just pressure them out of the game most times. I play 4 full power energy, the green negate. So it's just a really good card against aggro, kills Kabas and stuff like that. Little annoying cards, like, I mean, sometimes you'll eat a boo here and there, a blocker. It's just a really good card. Definitely 4 of, like, I see people running 3, don't really get it. So that's the green cards. I run 16 green cards. So I'm gonna have 16 yellow here. And we play 4 Dodoria, your 10k boost that draws a card. Standard. You would never charge this unless you absolutely had to. Never had to charge it. So you're pretty much good by playing it. 4 Goldo. Goldo's a really solid 1-drop. He taps down another 1-drop on their side. Since you have Ginyu Force Leader, it's the card like Cold Bloodlust. I think it says not Ginyu, Frieza's Army Leader. But yeah, you just tap down a guy and you can attack with him with your leader late game to draw a card, or attack with your leader early game, kill like boos, blockers. I played a mono yellow Vegeta, mono yellow Captain Ginyu deck, and this guy put in a lot of work because he can tap down those annoying blockers and just let you push for damage. But he's just a really solid card, solid 1-drop. We got 4 Cold Bloodlust. This is, I'm gonna say it, the best card in the game, the best card. It gains so much advantage. It's the only card that does what it does. And the only thing you have to do is play a slightly worse version of Vegeta. 4 Crusher Ball. Alright. Crusher Ball is a really good card. Against you usually keep your mana open for Bloodlust, but this card is also really good if you don't have one. It doesn't do the exact same thing, but it's like a negate, but it's a little bit better. It taps down the card when they play it, and if it's a card that doesn't really have an effect that's going to hurt your board state, usually let it go through, like a Go Tanks or something. Usually, you just let that go through. You can Crusher Ball it, and then you can kill it on your turn by attacking with one of your Go Tanks, or or you can just kill it with a battle card. But it stops it from attacking, so it's basically just another negate, but it's slightly better in every situation. So that's the main deck. That's all the main deck. Super solid. Like I said, I only lost one singular game to Patrick O'Neal, and it came down to the very last few turns. He ended up having 5K more than me, basically. We were tied, and I didn't have a 5K boost in my hand. I had two extra cards. So that game, I guess the extra cards kind of did hurt me a little bit, having too many. But basically, it was just a really well played game, and sometimes it happens. Sometimes you come down to the end, you just don't have the cards. But every other game, all my negates were really, really solid. I'll get into the side deck. I'll do a side deck video too. Anyway, we got 2 Goku. Didn't really use the side deck too much, but I never sided him in. But he's good against aggro. If they're super aggro, you can kill a lot of stuff with this. But I never saw a need to side it in against anything, even the Ginyu deck or anything like that. It just seemed too late to me to side it in. But I'll get into the card I did side in. I sided in 2 Bardocks in the little rush matchups because it kills a lot of 1-drops. It killed 3 1-drop blockers against the mono yellow Captain Ginyu deck. All the other matchups I pretty much was fine with. I didn't really need to side anything in. But he's really good. I might increase him up to 3 or even 4 maybe, because he seemed like a really good sideboard card for the little aggressive decks. 2 Goten. Same thing with this. I did side this in. Same thing with the 2 Bardock and 2 of this in. It was good. It killed some things. I might increase it, might not, but 2 seems pretty solid to me. But it's just for rush decks. 2 Krillin. Again, rush decks. If I side in Goku, I'll probably just side this in anyway, just to give it triple strike, give me another threat late game that I don't have. But yeah, he's just a blocker. We got 3 Vegetas. It's so tough to side some stuff because there's really not much you really need to side right now with only 1 set. But just for the time, I guess, for like going into game 2, never really needed it because I never lost game 1, so I didn't really need to side it in for time to like pressure a victory because you had to win game 2 to get the draw. If the game 2 didn't finish, then it was automatically a win for whoever won the first game. So I just never needed this. But if I ever lost the game 1, I would have sided it in to pressure them. And we got 2 Jocko on the sideboard. Like I said, one of these is probably going to go in for Vegeta, Prince of Speed. But yeah, just for the super long control matchups, you could side this in. I never needed to, but like I said again, not much to really sideboard. 2 Senzu Bean, last card. Same thing, aggressive decks. Pretty much that's all you really need to side in for this deck. This deck can handle any mid-range or late-game deck. The rush deck sometimes can cause it trouble, but in those matchups, you just don't self-inflict yourself, and a lot of times you usually awaken around the same time anyway. It's just you need it for like the follow-up turns when they have a board and you have to clear that. So sometimes you can use this aggressively to play more threats. But yeah, it's just a solid card. Anyway, that was the deck profile. Undefeated, lost 1 game, drew. We split top 4. I don't know. I think we definitely need a best of 1 format, but that's another video for another time. And but yeah, hope you enjoyed the deck profile and have a good one, guys. Peace.